Welcome to Lane Foundation's podcast, Christmas edition. We are 1 week away, exactly 1 week away. Yeah,
That's
next
right.
Monday.
That's right.
So, guys, this is going to be a short podcast, but we really just want to talk about one, what are we doing this Christmas? I'm sure you're all itching to know, what is the Christmas season about? And then relating it to especially the construction industry and how hard it can be for some families during this time. So, Davis, what are your Christmas plans?
We are actually headed up to see the in-laws. I don't like saying that because I don't view them as in-laws, but I view them as family. But we're going to Memphis.
Nice.
Her brother's coming to town. We're going to be at her parents' house in Memphis, and I think we're going to be doing some Christmas lights at the zoo in Memphis.
Oh,
And we're going to
cool.
be going do a Top Golf one night, and then we're going to do a Christmas Eve service there at their local church. But really, just looking forward to spending time with family. Right, slow down and
Heck
be
yeah.
thankful for what the year brought and be looking forward to the next year. What about you?
We are going to go down to Birmingham for a little bit, a couple of days, spend time with my family there, do a little early Christmas on Friday. I think Friday morning we'll do early Christmas with my sister and brother and parents, and then Friday evening we'll go to church service, and then Saturday got my nephew's birthday party, so we'll go and celebrate his one year old party,
It's cool.
and then I'm pretty sure, yeah, 1 year old, and then we'll go over to my in-laws over in Georgia and celebrate the rest of the days and drive back up to good old Virginia. Let's get in a little bit about the Christmas season and just what it means to us. I'll go first. I think that to me, right, it is about Christ. That is the ultimate season. It's different to me, right? Because usually you think about anytime a holiday has to do with Jesus or anything like that, you think of Easter, you think of a sacrifice that he made for us. So that's typically what's taught, right? But Christmas is just the birth of Christ. Now I know there's a lot of scholars that say he wasn't born during Christmas. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a representation of the birth of Christ and him coming down as a babe, right? Wrapped in swaddling clothes, essentially helpless, um, but ultimately ends up as our Savior.
Mm-hmm.
And it is easy to forget what we are here for on this earth. I forget it all the time, right? It's not presence. It's not me, me, me. It's not career. It's all, it's not even family all the time, right? It is what are you here to do that Christ has given you a mission to complete, right? We're here to share the gospel. We are here to teach and lead others to Christ. This season is just a reminder of just that. It is a reminder of family. It's a reminder of the fact that pretty much everyone in America, most people in America are extremely blessed. It's just the fact that we live in America, the fact that a lot of people have disposable income, have great jobs, aren't living in a war zone, right? There's a lot going on with Israel right now and bombs every day. There's missiles, there's all kinds of stuff. And we don't have to live through that in America. And I think a lot of people forget that. So Christmas to me, it's just a reminder of really the great blessings that we all have and the incredible, oh, what's the word? The incredible purpose. We have to be reminded that our purpose, our calling is ultimately not on this earth, that there is something a lot bigger than just getting the next present, the next Christmas season, right? It's easy to go about life and forget that. So that's Christmas to me. It is kind of all of it combined. And it's a great time just to remember and celebrate with your family as well. What
Mm-hmm.
about you?
Yeah. To add to that, because I think you laid it out beautifully, all those things ring true in my heart. But to go back to you talking about teaching and preaching and talking about the gospel and the good news of what it means to us for people that don't know Jesus, or for people that even might, I think back to Philippians chapter 2, where it talked about if you really understand the Trinity, Jesus being another form of God, literally God humbled himself and made himself as a human, right? Going through every challenge that we ever went to, but did that without any type of temptation or sin, right? He was tempted by the devil. He was tempted by things of this world, but he didn't fall into that sin. Okay. So
Mhm.
when you think about that, I mean, that just blows my mind. I think about the things I do on a daily and I need to go ask God for forgiveness for, right? He was able to walk through that and be human, but also be completely God. the other thing I think about is I just read this the other day and it was a Facebook post. And so if people want to fact check me, I feel free to do that. I don't know how accurate this is, but it talked about in Bethlehem, back in that time, people would not have thought of a manger as something that's wooden
Mm,
or something that's like as a trough for pigs, but more of a stone that holds lambs. So when you think about that, right, Jesus is the ultimate lamb. He's the lamb that's also referred to his name many times in the New Testament. A lot of prophecy in the Old Testament talking about the spotless lamb, right? Well, Bethlehem is also known for its non-blemished lambs being like perfect. And
mm.
so when you think about it, back in that time, there's a stone that they use as a manger, and they wrapped Jesus as a baby and put him in that manger. And so the wise men that came would have known at that time that that meant that this is the Messiah that's coming. All right, this is the Messiah in this manger. And so I just thought that was pretty cool when you think about that. Like
That is cool.
Judaism, or however you say it,
Judaism.
Ju- Judaism back then, the men of that time would have known what that meant, right?
Yeah,
And that's when the gospel just started to come, and it started to change the rest of our lives, right? 33 years later, he died on the cross, and we don't have to get into all that. But I just, you know, I love the Christmas season because I finally slow down. I think about what happened, like I just mentioned before. I think about the year, things that did good, things that did bad, but I also think about, man, how many times was I willing to talk to someone else about my faith? Not in a way that's, shoving it in their face, but man, how loving and, you know, how purposeful was my life this year, right? Did I spend a year living out that mission? Because Walker, it's a purposeful life. Like being able to speak to someone about your faith, whether they like it or not, but having a good conversation about it, man, it drives me more than anything else. And I just, you think about the sacrifice, right? Eat Christmas, how it's tied to Easter, but then you also think about, I think a lot. It's a great season for me. Of course, the getting together with family, getting to go to Christmas Eve service, like that's all great, but I want to put him first in everything I do, right? And I also want to be an example for others because he's changed my own life. So
hmm,
how can I continue to replicate that on the daily, right? And that's just a good time for me to reflect and really think about that.
that's really good. 100% agree. Couldn't said it better myself. I think that Christmas season is exactly what we just mentioned, and frankly, it's my favorite time of the year. Thanksgiving and Christmas are my
Mm.
favorite seasons. But that's not the case for everyone, and being in the construction industry is a very, very, very difficult industry to be in a lot of the times. And there's ups and downs. It wanes, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But sometimes it's bad during the Christmas season. And that's when a lot of guys are traveling. That's when a lot of
Yeah.
guys are working. And maybe they only get a day or two off and it's too expensive or not worth for them going all the way home, multiple
Mm-hmm.
states away, or maybe they're more than 20 hours away from home sometimes, and they just end up staying at home for Christmas, right? Or maybe they don't have a ton of family members to go home to and work's all they know. And that's a dark place to be as well. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that everyone needs to take a step back. It's easy to get frustrated with construction workers when they're on the side of the street or when they are making you late to work, right? And it's easy as a construction worker to forget about the guys on your job site and what they might be going through, what they do. So I think we all need to take a minute just to remember what Davis just mentioned. How can we help others? How can we share Jesus with others? How can we be a light in a dark world, right? And also, how can we just offer some support and comfort to those who don't have as much as us or who aren't as blessed, maybe with family like we got, right? Who might not have somewhere to go to during the Christmas season and are just staying in a hotel. And that's something that is definitely close to my heart. That is not easy for anyone to do. Stay in a hotel, work all the time, not go home very much. But it's even worse during a holiday because all you want to do is just go home.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, I think I was talking to my lovely wife earlier and talking about how I don't like the term reading people because it sounds like I'm trying to get something out of them, but
Mm,
I'm constantly looking at people, how they react, whether it's their tone, their inflection, their body language. Like I do all that on a daily, like almost instantaneously now. It's just a habit that I've learned. And she started to talk to me and go, man, that's exhausting. And I was just like, not really. She's just like, how is it not? I was like, because I do that, because I pay so much attention to someone, I pick up on things that other people don't.
Mm.
And so, what do you mean? And so, you just talking about that, right? We talked about Christmas. We talked about how it's hard for a lot of people, right? Because maybe they lost a loved one, maybe they're away from their loved ones. As you get older, people aren't around as much, right? So, also for tradesmen, this is the time where they actually slow down, right? A
Yep.
lot of them don't have enough time to slow down. So when they slow down, a lot of bad thoughts come to their minds, right?
Yeah.
We talk about mental health and suicide, right? There's a lot of just variables all stacking on each other. And I just want to speak on this briefly, then we'll be quiet and turn it off. But you know, I think it's super important. Walker and I have spent now 3 years mentioning personalities, mentioning talking and listening, learning and leading with questions, paying attention to the other person when they speak, be quiet when someone else is talking, right? Those things are all building upon what we're about to walk into the season, right? Because I know where we're at, because I know what season we're stepping into. It's here. We're there. I know who's hurting on my job site. I know who's okay. I know who's got great plans. I know who don't want to talk about it, right? Because I spent the time during the year getting to know the people on my job site, the guys that work for me directly and indirectly, right? And so I challenge everyone. I'm going to challenge you every time we get on the podcast. Be thinking about that, not just in this season, right? It's super important to be doing it now. Walker mentioned it, a great point, but really take heart to what we talk about. Think about personalities. Think about when someone else is talking. Listen, slow down enough and let someone else talk.
Mm.
And all of those things compound. So then when you get to this point and you're a supervisor or you're working with somebody and you see a guy have his head a little low because they're about to go on a Christmas break, go ask him, right? Use the EQ that we've talked about. Use some of the things that we've talked about and just really dig in and help people because, you know, at the heart of me, yes, I want to be able to share Jesus to everyone. I know not everyone's going to accept that, and I'm okay with that. But I do want to help others regardless of if they want to hear the gospel. That's just my heart. I want to help other people. And so it may not be your heart, but I would implore you to think about people more than yourself.
It's good. That's awesome. Yeah, guys, take what David said to heart. That is a fantastic place to end because that's exactly what the Christmas season's about. As always, if you need anything, if you have questions, you want to reach out to us, contact at laying-foundations.com. We're there. Looking forward to what 2024 has in store. Merry Christmas.